Have you ever lost your house keys? It happens to everyone. Now imagine losing something much bigger. Imagine the world losing 4 massive Boeing 777 airplanes. Each one weighs 200 tons. In December 2022, something incredible happened. Several of these jets, which used to fly for Singapore Airlines, took off from storage airports in Uzbekistan and Cambodia. They climbed into the sky and then they simply dissolved into thin air. But they didn't crash. There was no emergency. Instead, these American-made giants secretly landed in Tehran. How is this possible? How did Mahan Air, the most sanctioned airline in the world, manage to smuggle 4 modern airliners right under the nose of the CIA? Let's find out. But first, hit the like and subscribe button. This simple action is vital for me. Thank you very much. Chapter 1. The Madagascar Gambit. So, how do you legally buy a plane if the world forbids you from buying one? The answer is simple. You don't use your own name. You use a shell company. This is a fake business set up in places like UAE or Gambia. On paper, it looks like a normal company buying a plane for travel. But in reality, it is just a mask. But buying the plane is only step 1. You also need to register it. For these Boeings, the smugglers used a clever trick. They registered the planes with the code 5R, which belongs to Madagascar. Why Madagascar? Because the aviation control there is weak, and regulations are easy to bypass. They created a fake airline that claimed it would fly charter flights for tourists. It was the perfect cover. Then came the escape. The planes flight a normal flight plan, for example flying towards Uzbekistan. They took off and everything looked standard. But then, they reached a specific point in the sky, usually over Afghanistan. At this exact moment, the pilot turned off the transponder, the device that tracks the plane. The dot disappeared from the radar screens. The plane became a ghost. The pilot changed course and flew directly into Iran. This is known as the blue service method. It is the exact same trick they used to smuggle Airbus A340s before. It is risky, but it works. Chapter 2. The Technical Detectives. Why did they choose these specific planes? Why is the Boeing 777-200ER? These were not new jets. They were retired planes from Singapore Airlines and Knox Scoot. For a long time, they were just sitting in the desert, like the famous airplane graveyard in Alice Springs, gathering dust and waiting to be scrapped. Then they were moved to Asia. But the real secret lies under the wings, the engines. These planes are powered by the Rolls-Royce Trent 800. This is the critical detail. Most modern Boeing 777s use G90 engines made by General Electric. The problem for Iran is that General Electric is an American company that watches everything. They track every screw and every sensor. It is a nightmare for smugglers to get parts for them. Rolls-Royce is British. While they are also under sanctions, the black market for their parts is slightly softer. Iran may already have old connections to get what they need. There is also a simple economic reason. Nobody else wants these planes. The Trent 800 is an older, thirsty engine. It burns a lot of fuel compared to modern jets. On the legal market, these planes are almost worthless. This makes them incredibly cheap to buy with cash. For a smuggler, they were the perfect bargain. Chapter 3. Cannibalism and donor planes. You might wonder, why did they steal 4 or 5 planes? Maintaining just one huge Boeing is already a headache under sanctions. Maintaining a whole fleet seems impossible. The strategy is dark but smart. In the aviation world, it's called cannibalism. Here's how it works. Iran buys 4 planes, but they only plan to fly 2 of them. The other 2? They are doomed. They become organ donors. When a fuel pump breaks or a computer fails on the flying plane, they don't order a new part from America. They just walk to the hangar, rip the part out of the grounded plane, and install it on the active one. It is much cheaper and more reliable than trying to find smuggled spare parts on the black market every week. But hardware is only half the battle. These planes have no access to official Boeing software updates. There are no service manuals or technical support. If a warning light turns on, you can't call customer service. This has forced Iranian technicians to adapt. Over the years, they have become masters of reverse engineering. They have learned to fix complex American technology without instructions, keeping these metal birds in the sky long after they shouldn't have been grounded. Chapter 4: Geopolitics and the Powerlessness of the West. This brings up to the big question: where was the United States? The US had the most powerful military and intelligence network in the world. Why didn't they shoot these planes down or arrest the pilots? The answer is a frustrating legal dialogue. You cannot simply arrest a plane while it is flying 30,000 feet in the air, especially over neutral or friendly territory. Until the wheels touch the ground in a country that follows US laws, American authorities are powerless. They likely watched the shaft happen on their screens, but they couldn't do nothing to stop it. So what is the future of the stolen giants? They cannot fly to London, Paris or Berlin. If one of these stolen 777s lands in Europe or North America, it will be seized immediately by lawyers and authorities. Instead, these planes will fly a limited network. You will see them on domestic routes inside Iran, or flying to friendly hubs like Moscow, Beijing, Istanbul and maybe Dubai. They are big birds in a small cage. There is a deep irony here. These are American machines, built by American workers in Seattle. Now they are the pride of a regime that considers the US as an enemy. It is a strange reality. A country that burns American flags on the streets is desperate to fly in American planes in the sky. Conclusion: the price of risk. So Iran did it. They showed the world a masterclass of bypassing sanctions. They tricked the regulators and they got their prize. But this is a victory with a very heavy price. Ask yourself this honestly. Would you feel safe on that seat? We are talking about a plane that is being kept alive by cannibalizing other aircraft. It has not had an official technical inspection for years. It is flying without manufacturer's safety net. It is basically a Frankenstein monster of the skies. Ultimately, this story is not just about aviation enthusiasts or secret agents. It is a story about survival. It shows us exactly how far a government will go to keep its economy moving. Every rule in the book. Now I want to turn the question to you. Knowing the history of these ghost planes, knowing they are fixed with scavenged parts, would you buy a ticket? Write in the comments below. Would you risk flying on this Mahan Air 777? If you learned something new today, hitting the subscribe button is the best way to support me. As a new channel, every subscriber truly counts and motivates me to create better stories. Click here to watch the next video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.